Samuel Stearns, better known as the Leader, is one of the most intelligent and dangerous villains in the Marvel Universe, primarily serving as a nemesis to the Hulk. Unlike most comic book villains who rely on brute strength or weapons, the Leader's greatest weapon is his huge mind. His story is one of transformation, ambition, and an obsession with superiority that puts him at odds with some of Marvel's strongest heroes. But how did a regular guy become one of the smartest beings on Earth, one of the smartest people on Earth? And why is it such a big deal in the MCU? Let's break it down here. Samuel Stearns first appeared in Tales to Astonish, issue number 62, back in 1964, so he's been around for a while. Originally, he was just an ordinary janitor working in a chemical plant in Boise, Idaho. Not exactly supervillain material, but everything changed when he was exposed to gamma radiation in a freak accident. Unlike Bruce Banner, whose exposure to gamma rays turned him into the raging powerhouse we know as the Incredible Hulk, Stearns' transformation was a little bit different. Instead of getting bigger and stronger, something else got bigger and stronger: his mind. He became smarter. Like really smart. His brain capacity expanded beyond human limits, making him one of the most intelligent people in the Marvel Universe. Oh, and his skin did turn green, and his head grew larger, giving him that classic big brain type of look, which is what a lot of people were upset that he didn't have in Brave New World, but, they went with what they did because maybe it looked better. Now, calling himself the Leader, Stearns developed an obsession with proving that intelligence was the superior form of power. He believed that those with the highest intellect should rule over those who were weak, and naturally he saw himself as the ultimate ruler. This put him on a direct collision course with the Hulk, who represented the opposite of what Stearns believed in: pure, uncontrolled strength. Their rivalry is built on the contrast: mind versus muscle, brain versus brawn. So what exactly makes the Leader so dangerous? His biggest weapon is his genius-level intellect, which allows him to manipulate, outthink, and outplan his enemies. He has a photographic memory, advanced knowledge of genetics, and the ability to predict outcomes far in advance, which we saw a big part of that in Brave New World, where he sees the possibilities, and especially in the after credit scene where he's kind of warning Sam about what's to come. He also has telepathy and mind controlled abilities, meaning he can influence others and can take over their minds. On top of that, he can create and control gamma powered creatures and even transfer his consciousness into different bodies, making him incredibly hard to kill. He's basically an evil mastermind who's always one step ahead. Throughout the years, the Leader has clashed with many Marvel heroes, but his primary target has always been the Hulk. He sees the Hulk as wasted potential, an uncontrollable brute who doesn't deserve the powers he accidentally bestowed. The Leader has come up with countless plans to either defeat the Hulk, harness his power, or turn him into a mindless servant, but of course the Hulk has always managed to smash his plans to pieces. Now, if you're a fan of the MCU, you might remember Samuel Stearns from The Incredible Hulk in 2008, where he was played by Tim Blake Nelson. In that movie, Stearns was a scientist who tried to help Bruce Banner find a cure for his condition, but after coming into contact with Banner's gamma-radiated blood, we saw the beginning of the transformation into the Leader. His head started swelling and he had his creepy grin hinting of what's coming next. Then nothing for a decade we had about him in the MCU, until Captain America Brave New World that just recently came out. After 16 years, the Leader is finally making his big return. Tim Blake Nelson reprised the role, and this time he's not just a scientist, he is the full-fledged villain of the movie, controlling the Red Hulk, stepping into his comic book role as a mastermind. From what we know, before this, the Leader was imprisoned in the Incredible Hulk, but now he has a personal vendetta against Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, who is now played by Harrison Ford, which is kind of where we are at this point. I'm not giving any spoilers for the movie, but that's where we are at this point before you see the movie. One of the most interesting things about the Leader's return is that it signals a shift in the type of villains we see in the MCU. Up until now, most threats have been physical: Thanos, Kang, Ultron, big, powerful enemies that require strength to defeat them, but the Leader is different. He's the thinking guy. He doesn't need super strength because he can manipulate people, use science, and play the long game. This makes him a huge and dangerous threat to Captain America, but as we know, not that big of a threat if you watch the movie. And spoiler alert. So what's next for the Leader? If Marvel follows the comics, the MCU, we should see him become a key villain in future Hulk-related projects, which I feel like they're setting him up for World War Hulk. He could also tie into other science-based villains like Intelligentsia, a group of genius-level villains in the Marvel Universe. The possibilities are out there. But that's it for the Leader, a once ordinary janitor turned gamma-powered genius obsessed with ruling through intellect and proving his superiority. That's the Leader. Basically, he's one step ahead. Let me know what you thought of how the Leader looked in Brave New World. We have a video as to, what happened. Maybe it was why. But he does just look like a chewed up piece of bubble gum. he wasn't, and spoiler for that now at this point, he wasn't used that well. We did see the mind control abilities. We did see his manipulation. We saw the after credit scene where he's warning Sam about what's to come into the future. They used him really well, I feel like, in the movie, but they could have used him better. But you know what? It's okay. Maybe we'll see him in future projects, just like we saw Zemo but put on the back burner, and then all of a sudden he's in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Maybe we could see something, like I said before, in World War Hulk, hopefully, if they make that movie. But he's generally a Hulk villain, so it was a little weird seeing him as a Captain America villain. But let me know what you think of this, and let me know if you're excited for the future for the leader and what you thought of the leader.